Hey guys, and welcome to day 7 of the 100-day video challenge. This is Kim, and I'm popping in today literally to explain that I didn't come on yesterday to do day 7 because I've decided that I'm going to give myself Sundays off doing my videos so I can just focus on being with family and friends. So I will do day 7 or the next following day on the Monday, which works. It feels really good to me. I don't really feel necessary to do, like, I'll do it on all the other days, but I feel like Sundays is nice to have a day off and just to go within and just to be with my family and friends. So day 7 was supposed to be yesterday, but now it's today. So thanks for joining me one day later, but this is how it's going to be from now on. And so be it, because I can set my own rules and that's okay. Again, nothing planned for what I'm going to talk about, but something that keeps popping into my mind as I'm speaking is the concept of monkey mind. And monkey mind, like, what is that? And a lot of people will say to me, well, I have this mind chatter going on all the time and it takes me away from who I am, what I'm meant to be doing. And especially if you have an amazing idea that you want to get off the ground, or if there's a dream or an aspiration of something that you want to do, this monkey mind or this negative mind chatter will come in and say, you can't do that. You're hopeless, you aren't worthy, you can't do it, it's the wrong time, or blah, blah. And that's what I'm finding is happening to a lot of people, especially a lot of people who I'm working with that are going like deep into really deep core spiritual work. And what's happening is all the programming comes up in the form of this kind of monkey mind, if we can call it monkey mind. And so it does plague a lot of people to have this negative voice that's going on in the background. I've got so much I can actually say about this, which of course I don't have written down, so I'm just blurbling as it comes on out. So the monkey mind is technically running through the conscious mind, which also is connected to the ego. So the conscious mind is like pretty much designed to keep you safe as a body on this planet. So the conscious mind is that part of you that tries to keep you safe and tries to keep your body safe so it doesn't get hurt. What then happens is in your life, you'll have the subconscious, which records everything that's going on in your life, and it'll create a perception or an association around what's happened in the past. And it will trigger the conscious mind whenever there's something that you need to do that's related to that. And then the association will be brought up, which in most cases will be, oh, Dad said when I was 5 I couldn't do it, so now I don't think I can do anything. It sounds weird, but that is how these mindsets work, is they work quite closely in conjunction with each other, but in most cases we don't hear the subconscious because the subconscious is actually running its own little program without you knowing it. It'll come across as the conscious mind or the ego through the association that you've built to keep you safe. So know that your body is, and your conscious mind is just doing its job. It's not plaguing you. It's not harming you or doing anything wrong. It's just doing its job. And that's where, if you've got an associated memory of something similar, that'll create an association where you will then, and a perception around you not being able to do it, then it'll come up every time and you'll be stopped. The thing is that you won't know that you have built that association because it's in your subconscious and you don't not usually get access to that unless you go through hypnosis or using my universal mindset technique. We get into the subconscious to find out what's really driving behavior and also experiences. But the thing that we can say is that we can do about it is acknowledgement. So a lot of us will say, I don't want to hear the ego, or I don't want to hear the conscious mind, I don't want to hear the negativity. So we'll technically push it down. And then, of course, what you resist persists, so it stays there. So it's a really good idea to investigate, like acknowledge the negative thoughts, see what they're actually doing there, because your body and your mind thinks that it's doing a good job and it's protecting you. So have a listen first off and find out what's going on with it. If it's not making much sense, you can actually say to it, is this my negative thoughts or is it someone else's? And that's a really powerful question, because as energies on this planet, we can literally pick up energy from other people. It's just like an energy virus that we can tend to just pick up walking through the streets, going into a shopping centre or a crowd or whatever. You can easily just pick up other people's energy. And that's why sometimes you can be feeling great and then all of a sudden you might be around a negative person, or you might go into a place where there are negative people, and you can easily pick up their negative energy and take it with you wherever you go, like a little handbag. So what you can do in that case is, if you feel the negative chatter coming up or the negative thoughts or the voices come up and you acknowledge it, you can just say, is this mine or is it someone else's? The first thought that comes to mind, yeah, it is mine. Okay, that's your brain doing its thing. If it says it's not mine, you can simply go, oh, thank God, I'm just going to hand it back. And you don't even really necessarily need to know where it came from. It'll know where it's come from. You can just say, I send you back to the person that you came from, and it'll go. And you'll probably feel a lot lighter and a lot happier once you send that negative energy away. It's the same with pains and aches and things. They're not bad or anything. It's just like an energy virus that you pick up. Like you pick up any virus, it's the same thing, but you can't see energy, so they can't see these viruses that you are picking up. So, and the easiest way to get rid of them is just to send them back from where they came from. You are powerful enough to do that. So you can simply just send that energy back and then just take a nice deep breath and keep going on. The other thing that can pop up around this kind of monkey mind, busy, kind of mind chattery voice is we can pick up other people's voices. And especially when we're being around negative people, when we're being brought up. So if you have maybe a negative parent or a negative teacher or something like that, that will constantly say the same thing to you over and over and over and over, you can take on that energy, and that energy then becomes yours. And so you'll find that their voice will keep going, because their voice is actually attached to your energy. So whenever, again, there's an association between you doing something that's similar to maybe what you were doing at school or when you were growing up, that voice, their voice will pop back up because it's just attached to you, and will say, you can't do that, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're hopeless, whatever the voice says. Or even, oh, you've got to be careful, or you can't do that because it's scary. Whatever the voices said when you were growing up can actually be their voice and not even your own voice. So again, you can simply say, is this, someone else's voice or is this my voice? And again, you can just simply just say, I'm going to send that voice back to wherever that came from, because it's not mine. Then I'm going to take you to the next step, which is really quite cool. And this is where I choose to live, is not thinking at all. I don't have negative thoughts because my ego doesn't even have a chance to jump in, because I have trained myself, and I'll tell you how it happened. I've trained myself to receive thoughts rather than think them. My philosophy around that is, why not have access to all the wisdom in the world? Why not have access to that rather than trying to think and store everything in our little brains? I prefer to have access to unlimited wisdom, thank you. It's so much easier than thinking. I have a clear brain all the time. I don't go to bed with thoughts rushing through my head, because there are none. And it's so simple to go day to day without constant thoughts coming up. Firstly, I know when I have a thought pop into my head, it is actually received and it's something that I just need to act on. It is guidance from maybe my guides or somewhere else, and it's saying you need to look at this. So at least anything that pops into my head, I know that that's next on my path, and that's something else I need to look at. What you can then do is, I'll just quickly explain how I got to be doing this, because I had the worst cluttered brain busy brain, and I'd have list after list after list trying to declutter it. It would just keep coming up with everything that I was storing in there. So what I learned, this was just through being a practitioner with EFT, is I learned through doing EFT to measure what I was working on. So if I was working on stress, anxiety, or whatever, I would say, well, what number is that out of 10? 0 being not true or not intense, and 10s being the truest or the most intense. And because, especially working not only on myself, but with all my clients, I'd be constantly rechecking numbers to see where we were at on the scale between 0 and 10. The thing is that when we're checking the number, we have to receive the number. Like, our body needs to tell us what the number is out of 10. So if I said to you, you're feeling stressed, out of 10, 10 being the most true or 0 being not true at all, what number is the first number that jumps into your head out of 10? That is actually the truth. And then for me as an EFT practitioner, I would knock that down to 0, because that was what I was meant to be doing. What I found by doing that day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, is I was constantly checking numbers, that I started to find that really easy, and really tuning into the ability to get the number not only for myself, but again, that's how I learned telepathic communication, getting the numbers from my clients, pretty much anything I could read into anything, because I literally just emptied my mind and asked to receive the number, and it would just pop into my head. It's just like something that you can just, sometimes you can see it as a number, sometimes it'll be a feeling. It just really depends on how it pops into your head as to how to describe it. And that's how I actually ended up doing psychic work, and because things were just jumping into my head, and then all of a sudden the client would tell me the same thing that was jumping into my head, and I was like, this is weird, mate. So it was just like, okay, I can start to receive this information. Now I've been doing it for such a long time that I choose to live my life this way, which is, I call it living my life guided, where something pops into my head, or similar to this video series where something comes into my awareness, it's just the next step that I'm meant to be doing. So that's just how I live my life. So as you can imagine, my life is really easy. I don't stress. I don't plan too much in the future, because I'm just living for the now and literally receiving information that I need to know and then acting on it, and it's pretty easy. So for you guys at home, especially if you do have this monkey mind going on, or even overwhelm or stress or anxiety or whatever, it's really just so much easier just to clear your head and start to receive the information. If anyone wants to see me about doing those sorts of things, just pop a message below or message me. I've also got my website, KimIbrickJansen.com. I have to say, it's such an easy way to live. We can, I think maybe I'm proof that we can live without our conscious mind and our ego, because I'm actually really happy to live this way. I do know when because you can fall back into that, it doesn't feel good. So I'm probably preferring to go with receiving information rather than having to think it. I make a joke with my family. They say, can you remind me to do this? I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't remind anyone. Write it down on a note. Even the shopping list is on the fridge, because it's like, I'm not going to remember anything. I don't need to remember it, because that's not my job. So for you guys at home, you don't need to stress. You don't need to hold all this information in your head, and you don't need to put up with negative mind chatter. It could come from someone else. It could be from childhood. But also the other thing is that you don't even have to think. I tell too many people, but yeah, it's so much easier. And if you need help with it, just give me a bell. I'll see you guys tomorrow.